Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our regular school board meeting of the Plainview Independent School District Board of Trustees. We have established a quorum. We have two board members that are not here with us at this moment. I'd like to ask Mr. Danny to lead us in the pledge, and Ms. Amber has invocation.
Pledge first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, I just lift up this district and our students and our staff and parents that are represented here today and in our district. I pray for your guidance and clarity as our board makes decisions for what's best for this district. Pray for our families as we're traveling and resting over this holiday season, Lord. I pray that you'll just meet the needs of everyone in this district. And thank you for the moisture that you've given us, Lord, and just help us to focus on you during this holiday season. We pray this in your precious name. Amen.
Do we have any citizen comments? Let's see.
Mr. City, do we have any citizen comments? Okay, all right.
Okay.
We do have some presentations. We have some recognition of outstanding achievement. And so first up, I'll ask Coach Hatter to come up and to talk about our all-district and all-academic young men.
All right, thank y'all so much. We've got some great awards. Just want to go over the season real quick. It was started off really exciting, and a lot of seniors over here tonight that we're going to honor as well. That put in a lot of work, and it paid off for them. Started off the season 4-0, which was a great start for us. First time in a really long time, since 2006. So that was really exciting. Exciting to sell out some home games this year. That was really exciting for us as well. And then ended the season 5-5. So 50% is not where we want to be, but it's a growth and it's a step in the right direction of where we're going and where our program's going. And we believe we're just going to continue getting better and better. So with that, I'm going to introduce some all-district football players. I think Ivan has the plaques, but I don't think he's here. So we'll get those to the boys. But first one, there are superlatives. So that's like your district MVP, offensive MVP, defensive MVP, and then special teams MVP. And this year, we had the honor of having the special teams MVP, and that's Brock Nails. So not only was Brock the special teams MVP, but he also got second team all-district corner. So really awesome for the sophomore, and we look for a lot more to come out of him in the next few years. Just go stand up there, buddy. There you go.
Just stand right there.
Yeah. First team all-district. We'll start with the offense. We have the first team all-district quarterback, Seth Mayberry. And Seth is working towards becoming the all-time leading passer in all statistics. He's second in everything right now, so hopefully next year he'll pass those up. We're excited to see where that goes. First team all-district receiver. And this young man also broke the season record for most receptions in a season with 73 catches this year, and that's Mateo Hernandez. First team all-district center, Chaz Heads. First team all-district guard, Brandon Ortega. And on the defensive side of the ball, we had first team all-district defensive tackle, Justice DeLeon, senior. And then the first team all-district corner, who was opposite the second team all-district corner, in Josiah Miller. And then second team, we had second team wide receiver Damian Valenzuela. I almost won first team. We had first team all district utility player, so a guy who plays, both sides of the ball, special teams, all that kind of stuff. And that was Maddox Ellis, first team all district. Second team all district running back Renee Zamripa. We had a second team all district offensive tackle Louis Pacina, who couldn't be with us tonight. Second team all district defensive end Elijah Solis. Second team all district safety Ryder Walter. And then our honorable mentions, we had honorable mention outside linebacker Alex Villarreal. I got that one right because his brother's a twin and he's sitting back here, so I had to make sure I got that one correct. Second, honorable mention wide receiver Abram Garcia. Honorable mention inside linebacker Jeremiah Guitron. Honorable mention offensive tackle Javen Galvan. Honorable mention guard Nate Carrillo. And these are your all district football players.
Coach, if we can get you and your coaching staff to organize your young men here and we can get a picture, please.
That's a big group.
It's a big group. It's a big group.
They put Renee up front. Why they put Renee up front? I think they got the right ones up.
Got the big boys in the back and the little guys in the front.
That's a good picture.
Such a lovely piece of furniture.
1, 2, 3.
I'm watching you. Yeah, I need you to move around too.
Boys.
1, 2.
All right. Congratulations, guys.
And two final awards to give out is the Academic All-State. So the way Academic All-State works, it's not just during football season. It starts when they're freshmen. So from their freshman year to the end of football season, we calculate their GPA. They're submitted to the Texas High School Coach Association, and that's how you earn Academic All-State. So you have to have a 92 or higher to even be considered for Academic All-State. And so this isn't really just about, they went into their senior year and had a really good, or maybe, a few cush classes there and bumped up their GPA for those couple 6 weeks. This is a culmination of their whole work in throughout high school. So we had two honorable mention Academic All-State, and that was Damian Valenzuela and Mateo Hernandez. This one first. We miss Ivan.
Thank you, Coach Haddock, and again, congratulations to the outstanding academic and athletic achievements of our varsity team. Next, we have Coach Martin to share some of the awards and accomplishments athletically as well as academically with our Bulldog ladies volleyball team.
Thank y'all for having us. It's always a good reason to get back together with my girls. They're all going to other sports, and I love that for them, but it's nice just to be with a few of them again tonight. So our girls did a good job. We have several seniors here, and our seniors chose our theme, which was whatever it takes. We were smaller at the net, and I wasn't sure what the season was going to look like, but they showed up with more grit than they had last season, and our record was better. We made playoffs this year. They showed that the inside does a whole lot for what's on the outside. So we did a good job in our all-district awards. We have 3 right now, and the first one is Grace Murphy, who made first team. And then we had 2 who made second team, Karis Lanning and Sarah Navarez. And then we had 3 who are juniors, and I'm so excited that I get them back. 2 of them couldn't be here tonight due to prior commitments, but I have Camila Macedo. And then Ava Landeros and Destiny Collins were also an honorable mention for us. These girls are not only outstanding on the court, but they do a great job in the classroom. And we also had some All-State Academic Awards. 3 of our seniors out of our 6 made first team, and that takes a lot. You have to have a 92 or higher average, like Coach Haddock was saying, for all 4 years. And then after that, they take a look at their course load and their class rank. And all 3 of our seniors, like I said, made first team All-State Academic. And that's Grace Murphy and Sarah Navarez and Braylee Hernandez. They will be missed, but you can see with Camila and Destiny and Ava, we have great things coming up too. So thank y'all.
Coach, can we get a picture?
But here.
Coach Falk, come on up too, please.
Front and center. You're already smiling. Awesome.
Coach Martin, again, congratulations to you and Coach Falk and y'all's outstanding young ladies and their accomplishments. Before we ask for a pause to allow the students to depart, I would like to ask Ms. Sanchez to come forward to recognize some staff members. And then after that, I'll ask if we can pause to allow folks to depart.
I'd like to acknowledge our Summit paraprofessionals. We have a total of 12 Summit paraprofessionals in the district, including Ms. Campos, who is out ill today. But I wanted to recognize all of their hard work. They help support 550 students in the district in pre-K all the way through 12th grade. And they helped our district win the recognition of Small District 2022-23 Connect to Literacy District of the Year finalist. We were competing against districts that had as many as 17,000 EB students or English learners. And our district, with through the hard work of our Summit paraprofessionals, helped, our paraprofessionals helped our district received the finalist award at the Texas Association of Bilingual Educators conference that they had. So we were actually one of the districts that was recognized in the entire state, and we competed against districts such as Edinburgh and a little bit larger districts like Dallas. But they wanted to recognize all of the hard work of our paraprofessionals. So I'd like to call them up front and then give you some information regarding Summit. We have Patricia Morales from North. And we have Diane Champa from North. We have Libby Martinez from North. Lucy Aguilera from South. Naomi Madian, South. Sarah Valencia from Central. And we also had Rebecca Rodriguez, who's not able to attend. Yadhira Flores from Junior High and Intermediate. We also had Gloria Mora from Intermediate. Josie Castillo from Ash. Monica Ortiz from Plainview High School. In addition to Alejandra Castillo, who could not join us today. But I would like to recognize all of their hard work. They have helped our students excel every year on the TELPAS exam. They also help our students with STAR, and without them, our students wouldn't be as successful as they are. They come in, they plan, they call and say, Ms. Sanchez, can we rework the schedule in order to help meet the needs of our kids? Can you go and do a home visit in order to help this student do better than he or she is currently doing? And they're always, always, always cheering for our students and helping them excel. So I just wanted to tell them thank you.
One, two, three.
So before you begin the presentation, if, Mr. President, you'll allow for 5 minutes, so that way if we have our student athletes, if they have other commitments they need to attend to, that way they could depart at this time, and then we'll continue with presentations to the board.
Well, dude, let's take a 5-minute break. It is 6:20. continue with the meeting here.
Okay. I'd like to just share a little bit of information. Ms. Campos had put together a PowerPoint for you in order to understand a little bit more about TELPAS and Summit because it has helped us.
And she is sick at home, so otherwise she would be here.
Yes, she would have came, but no, she needed to stay home. So she did prepare a PowerPoint that I told her that I would go over with you. Our students have to take a second state assessment, which is called TELPAS. And it is provided for all students in grades K through 12 who are identified as English learners. So our foreign exchange students, some of those that did qualify as EB, will also be taking the TELPAS exam. We currently have 550 students. We started with 336, so our student group has been growing. TELPAS is an assessment that evaluates the development of the academic English language for students. They are required to move forward one level every year, and the test is given in the spring. We typically start collecting work samples in February, and they assess during that time. And it's just designed to measure the progress of each English learner. The students are rated in terms of their English language proficiency growth goal in the areas of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Summit K-12 is a program in order to help review for TELPAS, and it's also a readiness program to help the students prepare. Some of our highlights, we had 14 students in the past that scored advanced high in all 4 domains, which shows that they're eligible to exit for the program, along with passing the Iowa assessment. We have increased that number by 50% and that we had 16 additional students. So this past year, we had 30 students scoring advanced high in all 4 domains. The previous year, we had 44 students achieve advanced high on their composite score, which is the overall view of how the students are doing. This past year, we had 57 students receive an advanced high composite score. We have students that were rated as at beginner or at the initial stage of acquiring the English language. We've decreased that number of students by 65%, and we've increased our students who are scoring advanced by 15%. In the listening, we've decreased the beginners by 73% and increased intermediate by 16%, which is the step ahead. Listening and speaking are 2 areas that we focused on. Our students do have to speak in a microphone. They're recorded, and that information is sent off to the state in order to assess their proficiency level. In speaking, we have increased our advanced highs in speaking by 110% and decreased students who scored beginner in that area by 57%. Our reading has decreased beginners by 27%, and we've increased in advanced high by 19%. Our writing is an area that we continue to focus, and we've decreased students who scored as beginners by 12% and increased advanced scores by 17%. So as you can see, our Summit paraprofessionals do an outstanding job at making sure that our students are moving forward. This year, our goal is to hit 51% in the composite score, which I feel strongly that we're going to reach. We'll probably excel that. So. Blanca is our data guru when it comes to TELPAS. So she has compiled multiple data views for you. If you, the highlights are included in this sample. She just wanted to provide you a bigger view of how the kids are doing well. She did do a growth comparison chart. If you, it'll start at beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced highs. And you can see from 21-22 to 22-23, our advanced highs have increased along with our intermediates. And that's what you're wanting to see. You're wanting to see the beginners go down and the others go up. So we're seeing growth in that particular area. Every month, we meet with our Summit K-12 paraprofessionals. Ms. Campos prepares lesson plans. She prepares all of the any anchor charts that we are going to need, any graphic organizers for the classroom, and we model lessons. And so they practice modeling the lessons. As you can see, those we have Ms. Mayan from South, and then also our North paraprofessionals studying on how to best teach the lessons to the students. Ms. Campos does meet with all paraprofessionals on a weekly basis, actually twice a week on Mondays and Fridays, and that's to guide progress. So we look at where the students are. At the end of the week, she pulls the data. We assess as the students are assessed, and we do any pivots or revisions that we're needing to do in order to make sure that the students are successful. These are the areas in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These are actually all of the lessons that have to be unlocked. And as you can see that there's a lot to cover in little time. All of the students, well, in grades 3 through 5 at the elementary and in the upper grades are pulled at least twice. Some are pulled 3 times a week. Sometimes we'll have them for 30 minutes. Optimally, we'd like to have them for 45, but with all of the other things that they're learning. But we do focus on TEKS in order to help the students be successful in STAR. We focus on their writing. We have a lot more students that are confident. Our students that had applied for early college now felt confident in actually writing their own essays. These are constructive responses. As you can see, some have multiple questions. In order to get the response correct, the students have to address every single question listed. So some of those can have up to 8 questions. And if the students don't address all 8 within their writing, then it's counted wrong. So we work through with the students on how to read the charts or any graphs that are presented and really focus on their writing in order to make sure that they're able to articulate themselves in writing. These are some samples of what we walk the students through. So we do use the graphic organizers and we model for them. As you can see, there are multiple questions that they have to address. This is a sample of our student work. We have students that have come from Honduras, Nicaragua, and they come with very limited, if English, and we're able to get them writing. Blanca does our paraprofessionals do an excellent job. And so this is a sample of our kids, and they go through everything. She has her wow words they have to use so in order to help improve their vocabulary. This is another sample, and these are actual samples of student work. It's not something that we pulled off the internet. This is a sample of our student work. So our students are progressing with the changes in the STAR assessment in terms of writing. They write it in their notebook, and then they type it into the computer. So as you can see, they're really moving forward, and you can see that they highlighted their wow words. So. In the writing TEKS, we do focus on complex sentences. So as you can see here, conjunctive adverbs. These are the lessons that we work with the students in order to make sure that they do understand how these come into play in their writing, which I know Dr. Sanchez will appreciate because it's something that he works with our kids on when they're writing. So we're actually going through all of that. Extra support, we do take a look at each individual student and we work with them on cognates, antonyms, synonyms. These are all of the areas in which that we focus on in order to make sure that the students are being successful. Okay, and these are just some examples of during our planning pieces, what we work with the staff. You have an example of like the word wall, the wow words, and all of our graphic organizers that we use. So as you can see, they put a lot of work. After hours, it's like they're true teachers. And I've advocated for a lot of them to go back to school, but they tell me that they're too old. I'm like, they're not viejita like me. They can go back to school. So any questions regarding Summit?
Yeah, Mary, I do have some questions. First, some really impressive improvement. So these kids on the path they're on. So what are some major challenges that you're dealing with still that you see that in the foreseeable future that we might be able to help with a program?
I think one of the challenges that we're seeing now is the kids are coming in the upper grades and our students that speak no English. And so they're coming in 11th grade, they're coming in 10th grade. Quite a few are coming in 7th and 8th. So it's working with the teachers and providing the training that they need because now they're having to teach the kids to read. So it's something that, typically secondary teachers aren't used to, but it's an area that we're needing to focus. In January, we're sending a group of our coaches to CREST training to acquire more skills in that area. We are also working with Dr. McCurry, who is known internationally, to help us come up with strategies on how to support our kids. Our parents are very, very supportive. I think we have a lot of buy-in there. We've done the PEP program. We do trainings for the parents. We go through all of that information. We take them on college tours. Just last week, Christina met with the family at SPC, and we went on the campus tours with the family so that they can see. We walk them through filling out the TASFA. But I think the issue that we're seeing now is we're having a lot more newcomers than what we were used to. And they're slowly, trickling down, but they are settling in Plainview, but they're doing very well. So one of the things that we've done in order to address that is we assess them in Spanish to see how strong their native language is so that we can take a look in that toolbox to see what we can build on in order to move forward. And then we've also have our coaches going in, and our coaches have always pulled small groups because we always want to show that we're working hand in hand with the teachers, but it's our newcomers that we're seeing a lot of the same issues that we do in Lubbock. Before it was English and Spanish. Now we have English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Korean, Russian, Chinese, and so there's a lot more languages moving into Plainview.
How do you feel, you mentioned parent involvement or engagement. How do you feel their involvement is? That maybe we may have some involved, but you feel like all in all, parents are being involved in this?
I would like to say when you look at our parent groups, because we go out and we do home visits. We go out in the evenings. When COVID hit, we were still going out. We had actually a higher attendance rate for our students attending in person in COVID than our students in our regular general ed classrooms. All parents, I give out my cell phone number. They call on a regular basis if they have any issues. It's just opening the lines of communication. With Dr. McCurry, we actually had parents stopping me in the hallway asking for her to return. Because they're becoming more actively involved. We've had trainings with the parents on GPAs and how that impacts students as they're choosing their track. We are meeting with parents in order to help them determine what route their student will go from middle school as they're going to high school. I'm wanting to work on bringing in the elementary. I think our parents are very involved. They're very vocal, they're open. They do like, what I've seen is they like meeting here. So we have the small group here. That one, when they go into the larger groups, they're not intimidated because we've been speaking to them about what is it on the GPA, what AP courses, dual credit courses, why are they important? When you go to a university, what are some of the questions that you ask? Dr. Moreno recently, this year, with our pre-K, started to where our pre-K were going through their data with the parents, which I thought was really cute. I've done it with older kids, but not with the little ones. And she was showing our coaches today how well they were doing. Out of our ESL class, out of a class of 17, Ms. Loralde has shared that she had 11 parents show up. So I think our parent engagement is really strong, but it's taking a lot of building those relationships and letting them know that even if it may be something that, we may not like hearing, but we need to know so that we can fix the problem, and how are we going to work on solving the problem hand in hand. And so our parents are very engaged. I mean, we are getting them ready because I want them to ask questions, and I want them to be very active, not only with STAR, but also asking about TELPAS. And I tell them, the first thing you need to ask is, how's my kid doing in English? How are they progressing? What are we able to do? And then taking a look at that, but we're always working hand in hand with the teacher. And that's what I've seen, because typically with our Hispanic parents, look at the dices, maestra, you're always right. But it's good for them to ask questions, because they'll apologize, and I'll say, you don't need to apologize because you're advocating for your child. And that's what I want you to do. And I want you to call me to the carpet, and I want you to hold me accountable. But I think, what do you think, Sarah? Our parents are pretty, yeah.
Having more meetings like at the level of my campus, when Dr. Curie came down, and also just to have just an information on it, what questions do you have? It started off small, and then I feel like we didn't have like double meetings, but I just feel like they started giving more input, like how suggestions for next time, and I'm like, I like that, so I need to input. So we just want them to understand, like, they can ask questions to the teachers and what questions to ask, and so, and for them to feel comfortable with it.
So I think Julio and I went out not too long ago, but the kids are so cute because those high school kids are, but they're still babies. And they were like, she really came to the house. I'm like, I'm going to your house. And they're like, oh, she came to the house. So it's just building those relationships. But our parents, I mean, they're moving and they're asking questions. And so I'm really proud of the parents and the kids, but we have a great staff. I can't say that, enough. Our paraprofessionals, truly, you can't tell the difference between the teacher and the paraprofessional. And they always go the extra mile. They're open to coming to trainings. We just have a very, very, very good group of people. So I just move stuff and I get out of the way. So that's what I think my job is. So any other questions? Thank you all. I'm sure, hopefully if Blanca's watching me, she thinks that I did a good job.
And I do want to acknowledge that Ms. Campos came in as a paraprofessional. She's a parent. She's had daughters graduate through the district, and she has a son in the district. And she is working on her bachelor's to become a teacher. And so we're super excited about that because she has a heart for kids and is very passionate about this program and the students in the program and the paraprofessionals, and she takes this very seriously and to heart. And if her husband wasn't tied to the community, Summit K-12, the company, would have hired her away and taken her to wherever they're based in Austin or Dallas or wherever. But she does a great job, and she's like their number one salesperson for their program because the data and the scores are so good from Plainview. So just want to acknowledge her as well, since she couldn't be here tonight. Okay. All right. Next, we have Ms. Gretchen Massengill, who will present the annual review from the Plainview Education Foundation.
Many of you know our mission and vision for Plainview Education Foundation is to expand opportunities for premier teaching and learning experiences in Plainview ISD, and we do that through philanthropy. And one of those ways that we raise funds to get us substantially through the year is with our gala. And our gala, one of the main things we do with that is we recognize our educators of the year that are voted on by their individual campuses. And then we also recognize the secondary educator of the year and the elementary educator of the year. And this year we had all but 2 attend, and a few of those are not in the district anymore, and they still made it a point to come and enjoy the evening and receive all of their huge thing of gifts that we purchased for them to show how much we appreciate them as educators. So we started off last year with our first gala only raising $22,000, and this year we almost had raised $43,000 to use back towards many of our projects within Plainview ISD. A lot of that money goes towards our, premier educator grants. And so just to give you an idea on the growth of that, last year we had 2 grant requests for $5,370. A lot of that was just due to the timing of when we kickstarted the grant, the changing of schools and things like that. So this year we started our application process June 1st and ended it October 31st or October 1st, one of the two. And that gave teachers a good amount of time over the summer to work on their grant proposals. Plus also speaking at convocation really helped, I think, regain the interest of that at the very beginning of the year. So we went to 6 recipients that we granted funds to this year. We had 3 teachers at South Elementary, the whole campus for Central Elementary, the whole campus for Intermediate, and then also the Family Engagement Center. So a lot of those range from individual classroom to also supporting the PBIS incentives for end of school field trip. With that said, we are, have already had on a couple of things going to get started on 2024. So we did have a strategic planning day, and then we also, Tyler and I met with Dr. Sanchez and Brandy to go over some other needs and things that we are progressing forward for 2024. So where was I on that? On part of those grants, after we receive those for PBIS incentives, starting next year on our fiscal year runs with the school district fiscal year. So we will be adding in for the junior high and the intermediate school a standard amount of either it'll be $1,000 or $1,500 for them to use towards PBIS incentives. Because as you know, the primary purpose for an education foundation is to fund things that the school district cannot fund with taxpayers' money. And one of those would be using incentives that those students can take home and keep and not have to return to the school. This year, we are adding Gen Techs into a line item budget or budgeted line item for us. That hits almost every kid that has gone through Plainview ISD. They were so excited last year to double the amount of prizes that they were able to give away at their Gen Tech ceremony in the spring. And when we participated in lots of walking back and forth and delivering those gifts to students, but it was very well received. Also for 2023, we received from a business in the area a $2,500 donation to use towards school supplies for campuses. The elementary teachers and principals, they have just sent a quick email, say, hey, we need more crayons. We need removable dots for the PE teacher. We've done composition notebooks. And I just get on our Amazon account, which is another one of the ways that the school district cannot do that. And we can through our nonprofit and just send them straight to the school. And so we still have, and we try to stay within $100, $150 range on each one of those requests. So that way we can meet more of those needs throughout the school district. So after having our meeting, it was brought to our attention to start a quarterly newsletter. So we emailed all those out to our donors because part of my original job responsibility is to maintain a donor log, and that includes all of their emails. And so we did our first quarterly newsletter this past month, and that went out. I've heard numerous positive comments about that. We will continue with our grant presentation and Investor Appreciation Day in February, like we had last year, where we invite all of our grant recipients to attend that and we recognize them there in a public matter besides Facebook. We are continuing on with and we changed the name a little bit to Invest and Partner with PEF, and that's an annual giving drive. And so we started it last year where we called where donors, a household could donate $100 for the year, and then a business could donate $300 per year. And we had stickers made that they could put in their storefront window or on their car. And they also received invitations to appreciation events that we held. So we did a baseball themed day, and we were one of the sponsors for a baseball game. Also, when we had our grant presentation day, that was another appreciation event. So we will continue on doing a variety of different appreciation days for our donors in the community. And this year it includes a yard sign. So if you want one for your neighborhood, so you can try to neighborhood shame all your neighbors, you can do that. Unless you're like Amber and you live out in the country and it'll blow away. We lost a few golf signs over the years. Things that are brand new that we are super excited about. I attended a conference in October and with Foundation Innovation, and I learned a tremendous amount of things on what other education foundations are doing. So we are starting this year where we've worked with Special Olympics on setting guidelines for Plainview High School Special Olympic athletes to receive a letter jacket at the end of their junior or senior year after they've competed in at least 2 sports for 2 consecutive years, or it's 1 sport for four years. And they're really, Special Olympics is super excited about that. they are anticipating an increase in their participation once we get going with that and propose that option to parents when they meet with their junior high athletes. We're going to be starting doing gift cards to brand spanking new teachers that are coming out to the school district at convocation in the fall. We are starting Student and Industry Connection Days this spring. We're starting with the first one on March 18th to kick off National Agriculture Week. And we are going to be inviting area leaders in the variety of ag businesses, whether they're farmers, machinists, equipment owners, gin operators, just the vast area of agriculture in our community, and have them meet up with our current agriculture students so they can share information back and forth, so they can visit with people in the community and how things are working for them, and then the students can share with what they're doing inside their classrooms to help prepare for agriculture in our area. Then we'll look at doing one in the more business-oriented environment in the fall. Then another thing, especially after meeting with the school district, we are going to begin doing an employee giving in the fall, where employees of PISD have an option to donate to any area that they wish to donate to that are projects for PEF, or an employee crisis fund, which is set up a little bit differently. We're still working on the technical aspects of that. But when an employee, examples that were done in another school district, in another education foundation, is a cafeteria worker needed to have all 4 tires replaced, or else, I mean, she was just not going to be able to drive to work. And so she submitted a request for the funds to have the tires replaced on her vehicle, and then the education foundation paid for that. They do have a cap on, most of those that have the crisis funds do have a cap on that, but it has helped pay medical bills for some that come in last minute, and it's done anonymously. And so the education foundation just gets the information on who to contact to pay the bill. But that's part of what the employee giving from staff and faculty of PIC can contribute funds to starting next year. Another idea that I'm going to start looking at different grants that the company Bookworm, they gave me ideas of different grant places to look, but also doing fundraising. We are really eager to want to do book vending machines inside of each one of our elementary campuses. And it just takes about $7,000 per unit to get that up and going. So we're going to get moving on that soon. And each campus gets the opportunity to set up how students earn tokens to go and redeem them out of the book vending machine to take that book home. And so it works different than a library. They get to earn the tokens and then purchase the book of their choice out of the machine to take home and add to their own personal library in the house. So those are things that we have up and going for 2024. And we just had a very successful 2023, and we look forward to continuing our partnership with Plainview ISD so we can keep supporting you guys in ways that other funds don't always allow for. So, and I just encourage all of you, I kind of revamped our website past few weeks to try to make it more user-friendly, as well as trying to do a lot of Facebook interactions, such as certain board of directors' birthdays that have happened this past week. And there's another one right behind you. She's got one in January. So just follow us on Facebook to kind of see what we have going on. And I'm not always great about keeping our Instagram up and running, but I do keep our Facebook and webpage going. So other than that, that's it. And I look forward to having other people. And those that did attend this year's gala, Tommy's tie is still intact.
Yeah.
We don't know how that happened. Shelly became a superstar on stage and will make a great magician assistant one of these days as well. So we do have already our keynote speaker set up for next year. He is a former PHS athlete and played in the NFL, and he is a
senior engineer with Raytheon in Denver. So not only a great athlete, but apparently also a phenomenal student academically. So, and then we'll have entertainment to go with that as well. But any questions or? That's it. We're just moving on.
Thank you.
So keeping the board of directors busy.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right.
Superintendent.
One of the other ones we have is our new accountability system presentation. And I'm going to ask the board to take a look at this presentation. Now, what Amy has done is Amy did the administrator version of this, and I think we all had to watch it maybe 2 or 3 times to understand all of the things that are changing in the system. But I want you to watch this presentation, and I did ask Amy to make it like the parent version. So I want you to watch this presentation from a parent's point of view or from a first-year teacher's point of view. And this is what the state is using to evaluate success. And so again, I want y'all to look at it from that perspective. And Amy does a good job explaining this, but follow along. And I think at the end, when you have your quiz, you'll understand.
Okay, good evening, board. This is our accountability refresh as of November 2023. So with accountability, we get a refresh about every 5 years. And there's a saying in accountability, they say, it's the game you play without having the rules until the end of the game. So exactly our case in point, we have our 2023 accountability after we've administered the 2023 assessments and finished the 22-23 school year. On October 31st, TA did release the accountability manual. Now, some of you may have heard that we had some legislation going on between school districts and TEA. They cannot release ratings to us. Normally, we would present to you in September our district ratings, our letter grades. But with that litigation happening, we are not privileged to issue out ratings as of now. But we do have the final manual on how they will rate us in our gradings. I also linked a Lead Forward resource for you. And what Lead Forward did is take the 22 school year accountability and compare it to the 2023 and highlighted the key changes in it. So how we are graded. We're graded on 3 domains. We have domain 1, which is student achievement. For elementary and middle schools, it's 100% of our STAR performance score. For high school, we have 3 components in it. We have 40% STAR, then 40% CCMR, and 20% graduation rate. That encompasses all of domain 1.
And CCMR is the college career military readiness.
Then we move on to domain 2, and that has 2 parts. We have part A, which is academic growth, where we take our reading and our math scores for grades 4th through Algebra 1 in math, and then 4th through English 2 for our RLA courses. And we compare the student scores from 22 to 23 or the previous school years. And then our relative performance, we compare our percent eco-dis to the same campus types. Now with accountability, it's based on whatever we do best. So you'll notice that domain 1 and domain 2 are kind of boxed in, and they're 70% of the weight. So whichever score we do the best on, whether it be domain 1, domain 2A, or domain 2B, whichever is our highest score, it'll rate at 70% of a campus or a district rating. Then we move on to domain 3, which is our closing the gaps, and that's our federal and state accountability. And they look at our academic achievement, our growth, and our English language proficiency, which encompasses 30% of the weight. They combine those 2 scores, give us an overall number, which gives us our letter grade. So I'm going to take you a little deeper into each one of the domains. But before we do that, I want to review our academic performance levels. We have meets, masters, approaches, and did not meet, or we can look at it as an A, B, C, D, or F. We'll start with our masters. So a master's student is expected to succeed in the next grade level course with little or no academic intervention. So if your student receives a master score, they're expected to just succeed in the next grade level, shouldn't need very many interventions. A meet student has a high likelihood of success in the next grade level, but may still need some short-term targeted academic interventions. Approaches grade level, they're likely to still succeed in the next grade level, but they will need targeted academic interventions because there are some learning gaps. Approaches, meets, and masters, if your student scores any one of those performance goals, they are considered passing that assessment. Then we have did not meet. The student is unlikely to succeed in the next grade level without significant ongoing academic intervention. And legislation, we have House Bill 1416, which is we monitor our students, and in the district, we monitor 100% of our students who fall in this did not meet threshold, and we ensure that they're receiving accelerated instruction across the board. So for domain 1, we look at those 3 thresholds, and any student that falls in the approaches, meets, and masters, they are combined and they give us a percentage of kids who meet approaches. Then we take the meets and we calculate the meets and the masters together, which gives us a % meet students. And then the master's students gives us our percentages. We take those 3 percentages, we add them together and divide by 3. That gives us our star performance score. Now, once they give us a score, we combine them all. In an example to the right, you'll see that if you had a component score of a 58 and we land in looking at the elementary, we have different cut points. So to get an A, you have to get a 60, a B a 53, a C a 41, and a D a 35. If it was in elementary and we land at a 58, that would land us at a B, which scales to about an 88. So that's how we are calculated in our ratings for domain 1. Then we move on to domain 2A. For domain 2A, this is a completely new model. We now have a transition table model. Looking at this chart, if we take a look at the meets grade level at the very bottom, we track them. If they still meet meets in 2023, so we take their 2022 score, compare it to their 2023. If they land in the same threshold, they give us a point. But if they drop back to a master's, from a master's to a meets or to high approaches, we don't receive any points for them. So we are always tracking the kids and making sure that they're landing where they should be landing. And as a district, we identified 100% of our students in the district for 2023 to track to see what they're going to look at in 2024. So we provided that information to all of our campus administrators so they could know this student landed here in 2023. We need to track them for 2024 and land in this goal. And for 45-45, those accelerated instruction students, if we jump them up to another threshold, like a low approaches or high approaches, meets or masters, we now have icing on the cake. So we can get additional points for domain 2A in addition to our star performance. So the kid can get up to 2 points or 1.5 points if they were in the low does not meet and now jump up to an approaches, meets, or masters. So all of this transition table is a new piece for 2023. Now, each domain has its own cut point. So you'll notice that now we have different cut points for elementary. We have an 80 for a B for a 71 for a B, a 63 for a C, a 56 for a D. So in the example I provided, if we landed at an 80 at an elementary or middle school, it would scale to a 90, which would give us an A rating. Star performance for domain 2B, relative performance, we look at our fall snapshot EcoDis percentage, and then we compare it to similar campuses and districts. They can be anywhere. They don't have to just necessarily be in Region 17. It's campuses that look like our campuses. There's no changing of the scaling or calculation on this one, but for high schools, we're now looking at star performance and the CCMR components. We average them together to get our domain 2B. Domain 3, this is our last domain. It's 30% of our rating. There's 4 different components that we look at. The academic achievement, you'll hear teachers say, or administrators, that they're looking at the percentage of students who land in the meets. We're looking at the meets because of this domain 3 component. We only get credit for students at meets or above for domain 3 on reading and math. Then we bring academic growth back in for reading and math as well, and that's 50% of this domain. The English language proficiency, so the TELPAS test, is rated in our accountability scores, and we receive points on that. Then the student achievement, it looks at approaches, meets, and masters for all STAR tests. Because you'll notice in the academic achievement, we look at reading and math only, but on the student achievement, we look at every STAR test. For high school, it's a little different. This is where we bring back in graduation rate instead of looking at growth, and then CCMR for student achievement. Now, this is a big change for districts across the board. This is a lot. So now what they are doing is normally we would have up to 14 subpops that we were graded on at campuses and districts. But now if you'll notice at the top in the blue row, we're going to be evaluated in 4 student groups. The first one is all students. They group all students together. Then they'll take a look at our 2 lowest performing ethnicities. So in this example, the lowest performing ethnicities from the year before were Hispanic and white population. And then you'll see a high focus group. That high focus group is now going to combine all other subpops. So for example, your migrant students, your foster students, EB students, any other subpops are now going to be put together, and instead of counting on each, a student could count up to 5-10 times in this domain, they're going to count once in that high focus group instead of counting multiple times. So now we have gradated points. To get 4 points, you have to meet a 20, 37, 38 target. For 3 points, you meet this year's target up to 2027. So now they've released targets all the way through 2038 on what we were trying to target to get to. Then points 1 or 2 is if we make some growth, and then 0 points if we don't meet target or we don't go up. If you look at the top at the all students group, in 2023, that second white line is a 50. So that group scored a 50 at the meets level for reading. The very top yellow line is a 44, so they met the target. The target was 44, we scored a 50, so that's how come they get 3 points in that target group. So each ethnicity, we look at the target, see if they meet it, and our points are determined there. In that same section, that row, the white ethnicity, their target is a 59, and in 2023, the score was a 51. So they did not meet the target. Now they could have received a 1 or 2 points, but in 2022, they got a 52. So they decreased their score. That's how come they get a 0, and they're not eligible for a 1 or a 2. If you'll notice on the very bottom, the EL proficiency row, the target is a 44. And in this example, in 2023, they receive a 50. So that's why they received the 30 points. That's where our TELPAS scores come in that Mary was talking about. And we're looking at our students growing. It comes into the play in this domain. Each row, we calculate how many points are earned. So in this, the very top section, we have 12 points out of a possible 32, which gives us a percent score of a 32.5. Weighted at 30% contributes 11.3 points. So each section, they combine how many possible points, weight it, and then take all of them and bring them down and give us a overall rating for the domain 3. So when we were working with administrators in the past month, we talked about our domain 3 and some of the things that we can put in place. And we're identifying our high focus groups. So we're identifying all EBs, SPED, foster, homeless kids, so that we are making sure that they're meeting the targets on assessments throughout the year. And then you'll see that they also have a different cut points for A, B, C, and D. In the example I provided, the closing the gaps raw score was a 35, which would translate to a 71, which is a C rating. Now, if I put it all together, all the examples, you'll see domain 1, the component score I gave an example of is a 58, which scaled to an 88. Then part A is an 80 component score, which scales to a 90. Part B is a 58, which scales to a 91. And remember, we said we take the best of A or B. So 91 is our best score. Then we look at domain 2 and domain 1, see which one is the best. And you'll notice that the 91 is still higher than the 88. So then we slide it over, and that's 70% of our rating. So 70% of 91 will give us points of 63.7. Then we look at domain 3, the closing the gaps, the component score of 35, scales to a 71. 30% of 71 is 21.3 points. And you combine your total points together, which would give an overall score of an 85, and which would scale to a letter grade of a B. Remember, this is just an example. We're not provided with any ratings of letter grade ratings this year. So for 2024, we worked together and identified all our domain 3 ethnicities. We do not get to pick which ethnicities we're going to get graded on. The accountability system takes a look at the lowest performing ethnicity groups. You'll notice PHS, junior high, intermediate, and South all have the same ethnicity groups that will be evaluated on in 2024. North and Central have the white population because they're African American population. You have to have 10 students in the population to be evaluated, and they had less students. So their next grouping is their white and Hispanic groupings. The other new thing with 2024 accountability is normally we would carry a district rating of whatever our high school rating was, but now with the system changing, it's proportionally weighted. So as of fall snapshot, PHS carries 1,429 students, which is 43% of the campus students. And junior high is going to carry 21% of our rating, intermediate 19%, North 5%, Central 6, and South 5. With the district rating, another new thing is if we receive any campuses with either 3 Ds or 3 Fs, that is the highest score we will be able to receive as a district. So there is now a mandatory cap. So if we have any campuses that rate at a D, 3 Ds in the district or 3 Fs, then our cap for the rating would be either the D or the F. Even if we had a campus at an A, it wouldn't contribute. So that was a lot. Do you have any questions for me?
Because this is the quiz comes next, right?
I just noticed on the JJDAEP, there was an A next to it. Why?
Because we don't have enough students in that population to be able to carry a percentage of the weight. And they're a fluid group, so they'll come back into our system.
So you're a first year teacher and you're teaching 3rd grade reading. Do you understand how the success for your students and your campus is now evaluated by the state of Texas? This system is, I give full credit to its creator, Commissioner Morath. This is his invention. And the state had, for the long time, had a very complicated system, and the elementaries tended to do really well, and the secondary didn't do as well. So there was adjustments made, and so for a time, there was a greater sense of equity in the evaluation system, to where districts like us in Big Springs and Laredo, similar demographics, similar socioeconomics, were evaluated together, and there was a bit more equity. But as you can see, the reason that there's a lawsuit is a lot of this is part of the contention, and a group of school districts band together and are suing the Commissioner of Education over this system, because it shouldn't be this ridiculous, but it is. And this is how we're evaluated. I think the factor aspect of taking into consideration factors and weighting them makes sense, but when you can't explain it to a parent sees a letter grade on a campus, a C, a B, an A, a D, and F, and they think, well, that's really bad. But when you look at everything that goes into it, is it or is it not? Now, we know that if this is the evaluation system, no one wants to be in the situation, God bless them, that Houston ISD is in, where the state has taken over the school system and teachers had to reapply for campuses that were A's and B's, C's, just like the campus that was an F that triggered all of this. And some of the drastic steps that the state took there is they turned the libraries into ISS and got rid of those, and it's been an experiment. I honestly feel that this system is set up to expand that experiment because when you give students an assessment in the spring of 23 and you get the rules for how the students and schools and teachers and district will be rated in November of 23, nothing works like that. I've never seen a game played where at the end of the game, the team that loses is told they've lost, and then they get a explanation like this on why they didn't win. Now, we know that this is a system and this is the law, and we'll do our absolute best to succeed within it. But I just had asked Amy to present this to the board because she does a good job and she takes something that's very complicated and makes it understandable. But now I think you guys can understand why I said we had to watch it at least 3 times to appreciate the changes in it. And I still don't think there's any one person in here outside of Amy who can lay it all out to you and explain it. And so as board members, when a member of the community goes, well, explain to me why the district's a B or a C or an A or whatever, it's hard to do, if not near impossible. And I fear that's by design. And so, again, there's no quiz because it's just an interesting system. And I'll be kind and leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I just say one quick thing? I think at the end of the day, you hit it on the head there. I mean, our teachers go in every day, principals, administration, do the very best that you can. I think at this point, that's all you can do. It's unfair that our state continues to play games with our kids. And we just trust that our teachers and staff are going to do the best that they can every day for our kids.
Ms. Millman, in January, we'll take a look at the agenda and ask campuses to share their plans on what they're doing to address the complexity of what you viewed. There's a lot of work that's been going on since we received in November the rules of the game ex post facto. So we're going to begin now working through understanding that and moving forward. So these are the rules. Here's what we're going to do. So January, we'll share with you. Here are our elementary plans, our intermediate plans, our junior high plan, and how we're going to approach this. But I agree, everybody is working diligently in this area. If y'all allow, that'll go into the superintendent's report, which is the final item under presentation. Along those same lines, I don't know, there was an interesting article, Doris forwarded it to me. We were looking at school finance, and it said in 1845, the Texas legislature met for a multitude of days. So can anybody guess why in 1845 the Texas legislature would meet for a long time? Does anybody know? What happened in 1845?
Texas.
I'm looking at Mr. Green, but, oh, okay. Something important. I'll let y'all look it up on your phone. So the reason that's important is if you take a look at 1845 and then you take a look at 2023, this is the longest that the Texas legislature has been in session since 1845. Now, 1845, I mean, that's the beginning of our state, the state of Texas. And so if you think about the work that it takes to join the Union and to craft the Constitution and do some things like that, it takes a bit. And so the good thing is in 1845, they got to the end of the session and accomplished some stuff. The governor has called multiple special sessions, and each time the governor has not signed the legislation that the legislators have sent him, which is intended to fund public education, give teachers raises, add to the foundation school program to contend with inflation. He hasn't signed it and said he won't until there's vouchers. And we do want to acknowledge Representative King because he's been steadfast in supporting public education and being a no vote on vouchers. And there's been a tremendous amount of pressure placed on legislators from rural Texas who are conservatives who are holding the line against vouchers. There's been challenges, and the governor is now threatening to endorse challengers to incumbents that are supporting public education. And so again, just wanting to recognize Representative King for his steadfast support of public education and being a no vote on vouchers. And again, it's bold and tough work to stand up for what you believe is right when you're told, well, we're going to primary you. So what that means for us is we're still financially not in the kind of shape that we've been in years past. But if you think about districts that ran multi-million-dollar deficits, hoping that the legislature would figure it out and the governor would sign something, and next year their budget would be okay. And if you will remember, there were districts that went into the $14, $15 million deficit range. We weren't one of those, of course. But you have to imagine, if we're feeling angst and we're not one of those, imagine those that did go into the $14, $15 million deficit range, and there's no relief in sight, and the governor hasn't signed anything, and as soon as the special session's called, vouchers are stripped out of the bill, which means the governor isn't going to sign it, and it dies, and then they end the session, and then the governor calls another one. And so that's the cycle that's been going on to this point. So just wanted to share that information. The other piece of information that I need to share with the board publicly is the district's insurance, the TASB, Texas Association of School Board Insurance, the TASB Trust has sent a letter notifying Atmos that it has found Atmos to be at fault for what happened in the band hall, and that they expect Atmos to work through their insurance to reimburse the cost of the repairs. And so our insurance carrier will litigate on behalf of the district the recovery of reasonable costs for the band hall and the damage, the moisture damage that occurred there. So again, wanting to acknowledge that that is already proceeding. And Ms. De La Garza sits on the trust board, and I believe she's made aware that TASB was proceeding when she went to her meeting. The other piece of information to share is two pieces of good information. One is we have had laptops at Collegiate with students for 3 years, and we've learned lessons. And do some of them get lost? Do some of them get damaged? Do keys pop off them? Do they forget them every so often? Yeah, but most of them, most days, show up with their machines intact because they need them to do work. Ms. Long, I have to give her full credit, did research and a great job in pulling together some policies for us to begin handing out laptops at the high school. for all our high school students. And I know that's been a push by the board. Well, why don't we have, do we have enough laptops? Yes. Why don't the high school kids have access to them? So we're at a point now to where our LTE network is about ready to go. Mr. Jennings has ordered the hotspots for the laptops for kids that live in areas where Verizon or T-Mobile or whichever other carrier doesn't provide service, or if they don't have service. Now we'll be able to do that through our LTE network, but we're going to begin in January issuing laptops to students because it's really hard to write an essay on one of these things. And it's really hard to access Google Classroom on one of these things. Especially when you have only so many minutes. And I know the kids' eyes are better than mine, but you can see how big my phone is so I can see it. So we're working through the details of that, and then we'll begin rolling the laptops out at the high school so that the kids will have those and they can take them home, they can do their work, and they're not doing it on a smartphone or a cell phone. So that's a big deal. Again, will some get lost? Will some get broken? Will keys go missing? Yeah. So we'll see how this works out. We'll learn lessons from it. We do have a plan before testing to get them back, check them out, clean them up, make sure they're functional, and then issue them for testing. So we'll do that as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is the board was nominated for the HEB Board of the Year recognition. And so information was submitted regarding policies that the school board has put into place, a handbook, theory of action, core beliefs, core commitments, mission statements, and all of the work that the board's done over the last so many years. And so there's a committee of, I guess, distinguished guests HEB identifies, and then they award school boards recognition. And I believe there's a $25,000 prize affixed to the board that wins first place. So I think it's a big deal that the board was nominated for the award. So it's great to be nominated. It's even better to win, but it's great to be nominated because you're recognized for the good work. And I believe we also have a teacher that was nominated, and then some of the work the district's done was also nominated for consideration. And so the information has been submitted to the HEB Educators Excellence panel. So that'll conclude the superintendent's report.
Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, moving on to our business items. We have some property tax deed sections to look at.
Yes, ma'am. As is customary, we receive notification from the city of properties over which the properties are going to become the property of taxing entities to be sold and or to be assigned to the city for oversight. And as you can see, these are a multitude of properties that will fall under that. And so as the board has in the past, we ask for your consideration and approval of the dedication deed selection 34.05 of the Texas Property Tax Code, City of Plainview, Texas tax deed for the tracts listed R21734, R21858, R25774, R18415, R15345, and R22986 as a matter of record.
Any question, board, comments pertaining to this property? Not hearing none. I'll entertain a motion for item number 1 on their business item.
I so move.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
At a first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, second business item is possible action to adopt a resolution designating the district's non-business days for the 23 calendar year. Which I think we did this last year, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. This just designates a set of days by state law as a result of the 2022 Third District Texas Court of Appeals decision in case TCEQ versus Sierra Club. What this does is the board sets forth in writing, which allows us then to set forth in publication all days that are considered non-business days for the purpose of requesting and receiving an open records request. So that way, if somebody requests an open record, those non-business days traditionally are, Saturday and Sunday, plus these days that would be designated by the board, which are a combination of spring break, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and Christmas break, when no one's available to fill those requests. So we recommend the board take action to adopt a resolution designating the district's non-business days for the 23 calendar year for the purpose of the Texas Public Information Act.
Board questions, comments? If not, I entertain a motion for item number 200, business items.
I so moved.
Thank you. To her second.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Okay, third item is consideration approval of the updated 23-24 instructional professional development plan.
You all have a copy of the updated professional development plan. There are dates in there now that are reflective of some of the work that we're going to do to tackle the new state accountability system and some of the work campuses have to do in that area, as well as other professional development now that different trainings have been set and those dates and locations have been made known. So this is again requesting the board's approval for the professional development plan. We have reviewed the plan to ensure that it doesn't violate any aspect of state law for the purpose of teaching anything that is prohibited by state law. So what's within the plan is prohibited to be taught by state law. So we need y'all's support and approval so that we can then register and send staff forward. The majority of this is writing training, reading training, math training, finance training, training of that nature, and there's no specialty training in there beyond those components. So with that, I'd recommend consideration and approval of the updated 23-24 instructional professional development plan for your approval.
Board question, comment? Not. Motion for number 3 under business items.
So move.
Thank you. To her second.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. On favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, our fourth item is the consideration and approval of the superintendent's designee TEA approvers.
Yes, ma'am. Through the TEAL system, we submit reports, grants, as well as PEEM submission. And there is, in some cases, an email or a magic button to press. And when I'm not available to press it, Ms. Merrick or Mr. Jennings would be available to press it with your approval of them to serve as a designee for the purpose of submitting TEAL application or anything through TEAL. So this would authorize them as a superintendent designee for TEA approval purposes. So with that, I'd like to recommend Mr. James and Ms. Merrick for consideration and approval to be the listed superintendent designee for TEA approvers.
Board questions, comments? Not. Entertain a motion for item number 4 under business item.
I so moved.
Thank you. There's a second.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. On favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion
They're pretty
passed.
trustworthy.
For the most
Thanks,
part,
Kyle.
for the most part.
Okay, our fifth item is a construction change order 001.
Yes, we were very fortunate. We always work a contingency into all projects. And HD Construction did a good job, and they honored what they felt they needed to demo Lakeside and Edgemere and the old ISS building / band hall. I think that building had been many things. And so the final sum is to be decreased by $48,200 for that project. So we do have one more potential project that we may need to demo, but without a final word on that one, this would return the $48,200 to the district in terms of the final invoiced amount. So with that, I'd like to recommend for your consideration approval for construction change order 0001 for demolition projects to decrease the original contract sum due to contingency credits and change requests.
Board, any questions, comments?
I would say on this, it just goes to show business office stores, you guys, the due diligence that you do for vendors and finding the right folks for our district, right? Obviously a local contractor, but also knowing that they have, the responsibility of doing the right job and then, doing it correctly. I mean, they did a great job, and then finding this, money back for the district and essentially overall for our kids. So that just pays it forward for them too. So appreciate the due diligence of your team finding that vendor and doing that process, for sure.
Yes. This time I entertain a motion for item number 5 under business item.
So moved on that motion.
Thank you. There's a second.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
It's not often we get to approve money back in the budget.
Exactly.
Yes.
And no,
Motion passes.
and I have to tell you, with the Hasty Construction, they finished 3 projects in about half the time that the company that had College Hill finished College Hill. I mean, it took College Hill about 1.5 years for that thing to come down. And it was about 4.5 months for them to take down Edgemere and then to move over to Lakeside. And I mean, they moved quickly, and they were easy to work with. So just very, very impressed with him.
Okay. Now the consensus agenda.
We have one more. We have the Guardian program.
Oh, the Guardian. I skipped that one. Yes, the Guardian program that Chief's been working on.
Yes. So you have the confidential list of guardians, and so we ask that that not be shared and or published. You have a copy of that, so you can flip that over and take a look at the guardians. If there is a concern with any one of the guardians, I would ask for an executive session to discuss any one of those guardians. If there are no concerns, I'd like to recommend the list to the board for consideration and approval. As you can see, you have the name, they've completed license to carry, they've completed the simulation, they've completed class time, they've successfully completed range time, as well as passed a psychological evaluation conducted by an external entity. And so you can see there's coverage at PHS, there's coverage at Collegiate, Ash, Junior High, Intermediate, North, Central, and South. These would all be concealed carry, not open carry, and they would be concealed carry for the purpose of a perpetrator not knowing who on campus has the firearm, but knowing that there would be someone on campus with a firearm. Of course, we would publish signs that would say that this campus is protected by District PD as well as the Guardian program, which then would inform anybody who wanted to do harm that there will be more than one person with a firearm. Of course, our police are trained to address any intruder, but we also have others trained in that kind of a situation. Should an intruder run into a guardian before we have a full police presence available. So again, with that, I would like to recommend the list for your consideration and approval.
Board, question, comments?
I would just like to thank this group of people and Chief and all of his team. This was not a decision that was made lightly, I know, on who was a part of this group. I know they all didn't take it lightly, and it was a lot of work and effort and extra hours put in to get certified to to do this. And so we appreciate that huge responsibility that they're taking on.
How often is this recertification, Chief? Okay.
Being able to handle that weapon, being able to shoot the weapon, work malfunction, stuff like that. So we will have a training that will put out there.
And we do have a safety committee that does provide oversight and guidance for this. And we have city PD, sheriff department, as well as board member representatives and district representatives on that committee. And so they met and we discussed increasing the amount of ammunition we would purchase so that they could have more range time, as well as recertification and training quarterly to make sure that everybody's on their toes and that we don't get lax. So we do appreciate that committee also for providing their perspective.
Board, more questions, comments? If not, I entertain a motion for item number 6 under business items.
I'll make a motion that we approve the candidates on the list for the Guardian Program for PISD.
Thank you, sir. Here's a second.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the consensus agenda.
I'd like to recommend to the board the consensus agenda is presented, and they are just minutes for our regular call meeting on November 16, 2023. And with your approval, we'll publish those minutes for the public.
Any questions, board? Comments? Not, entertain a motion to approve the consistent agenda.
I so move.
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
The motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you.
If you'll allow, just briefly, under other items, information items, discussion, if Ms. Merritt could preview the board, our candidates for Pathway to Teach.
Successful recruitment from our spring 2024 cohort of our Pathway to Teaching for Professionals. So in October, on the 25th, we invited the community in just as an informational session to let them know what the program was all about. This is our 4th year for the program, and it's very tailored for members of our community and those that live within a 25, 30-mile radius of Plainview, specifically designed to recruit local people into the teaching fold. Second career professionals, or maybe those recently graduated college professionals that don't really know what they want to do, might want to tip their toe into teaching. So we had a small turnout, but all in all, we had about 8 applicants, and we had 10 applicants, and we have chosen 7 as interns to go through the process beginning in January, rotational process to kind of clinical teach, if you will, for the spring semester. And if that's successful, then we'll place them in classrooms for the 24-25 school year. So we have 2 that will be interning with our exceptional education department, 1 elementary intern, and 4 secondary interns, with a large majority of those interested in math. So
That's
it's a great group that will start on January 8th.
And just hats off to Ms. Merrick and her team. They do a good job in recruiting them. And then she works with teaching and learning to do the screening part of it. And we're excited about the group. And I appreciate the board members who also sent some of these candidates our way
Yes.
as well. So we will take all of the help. I wish we could pay the retention, what is it, the recruiting bonus, but we can't. So pay the recruiting bonus to the board, but we do appreciate y'all recruiting as well. So with that, I will request a closed session, and it's for a student matter.
Okay. At this time, we are going to go into closed session. It is 7:46 under Texas Code 551.082 under school children and school district employees disciplinary matter and complaint.